So if you are somebody who wants financial freedom, you need to surround yourself with people who are already in the place that you want to be.
Like, it's really not about how much income you're making. It's about how much you're able to keep and then put to use and get it to produce for you. The one thing that I love about our community is that they all said, I feel like I found someone just like me. Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. This show is for you that works so hard for your money, and you're now ready for your money to start working harder for you today. You want that freedom and cash flow right now. You don't have to wait 30 or 40 years, but you want it today so you can live that life that you love with those that you love. I know, though, it's not just about getting rich, because for you, it's about living a rich life. Because as you're blessed financially, you now have a greater capacity to bless the lives of those around you because you're prospered, and you can share that prosperity with other people too. Thank you so much for letting me for you guys tuning in, allowing me to create that ripple effect through you. I appreciate you guys always binging, even sharing this with other people, and really helping this ripple effect go worldwide. And that's all because of you guys. Thank you so much for doing that. As a reminder, guys, if you want to be able to know how to go deeper down that rabbit hole, go visit our website, moneyripples.com. Lots more information, whether it's looking at infinite banking, like max ROI, infinite banking, or even if you're looking at ways to create passive income, go check that out today. All right, guys. So I'm bringing on a special guest today here with Craig Feldmeier. Now, Craig has been on, I think this is like third or fourth time we've had Craig on. He's also affectionately known within our group as Coach Craig, where he is literally the guy that's coaching our clients, the one-on-one clients that we have working to try to create passive income and do those kind of things. And just recently, we had a mastermind, our annual mastermind we do with our members. And I'll tell you, it was amazing. It was awesome. There's some great lessons there that I want to be able to share with you guys. Obviously, we're going to keep it anonymous because whatever we share in the mastermind group stays within the mastermind group, right? But at the same time, I want to be able to really share with you kind of the big lessons that you could take away from this and help you get results faster in your life than you would just trying to do it on your own. So definitely excited to have Craig. Good to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Great to be back on.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I know if people went back at least a couple months, if they binged far enough back, they know that obviously you're a coach, you had a Wall Street background. Tell us just quickly about your little background and what you do.
Sure. Yeah, spent about 10 years working with high net worth individuals on Wall Street, the typical stock market type of investing. And then, I got the passive income bug when I started to get into real estate in around 2017, 2018, and have jumped in with 2 feet into the deep end, that's for sure. So now I have the opportunity to coach our clients and talk all things passive investing, which is my passion and which is what I love to do.
Well, the cool thing about you, of course, is that you're not just coming from a higher, holier than thou, higher than mighty, whatever you want to call it, right? High and mighty type of perspective, because you were actually a client back in 2017 and 18 as well, right? So you know what they're like being in their footsteps.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it was 2017 when you and I started working together. And I had that kind of light bulb moment that, we want our money to work for us. We want to be in control. We want options. So, I have been in the shoes of our clients, and am blessed enough to now be able to coach them.
For sure. Well, I know we had a huge privilege of being able to meet some of these people face to face for the first time ever. What were some of the biggest impressions or takeaways you got from what these our members were picking up from this mastermind, what they were learning with each other?
Gosh, we had so many incredible takeaways from the weekend. It was an intensive 2 days. One day is kind of really mastermind focused, where a lot of group breakouts. We had some really great presenters come in, and then we spend day two in nature, which is just amazing. Those relationships have been formed. People are able to really kind of connect in a more relaxed setting, which is great. I will say, kind of in that post-COVID culture where so much interaction is Zoom focused, right?
Hmm.
To be able to connect in person, gosh, it's so powerful. And we have a lot of kind of what we call mini masterminds throughout the year on Zoom, right? So a lot of our clients already know each other. So it's not like they're meeting for the first time, but you're really able to take relationships to the next level when you meet in person, right?
Mhm.
We're out of the daily grind of our day-to-day lives. We're, able to focus just kind of on money mindset, goal setting. What does that look like for each individual? And when you're able to have, those intimate one-on-one conversations, it can really move the ball forward in regards to what your goals are. So I'd say number one, Chris, is the human connection, right? Really allows people to form those bonds. And I love the phrase your net worth, or excuse me, your network is your net worth, right? That
Yeah.
is, could not be more true. And just kind of seeing people really connect and bond. And, we had people talk about, off market deals, forming their own kind of investor groups to look at other opportunities. We have some smart people in the Money Ripples
Mhm.
community, that's for sure. Some type A go getters. And so just to kind of be a part of some of those conversations was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because there is a wide variety of people, but I remember one person that was looking at our group, possibly hiring us as coaches, and she was like, "Boy, I don't know, like maybe I'm not good enough, like in the sense I don't have enough money or I'm not making enough money because some of these people have millions of dollars or might make millions of dollars, and some of them make hundreds of thousands, and I make 70,000 a year. Like, is that worth it?" And I told her, it's like, honestly, there's plenty of people in our group that do that as well. And even more importantly, it's not even about how much money you make or even how much money you have, although that helps. But more importantly, it's how much money you have left over each month, right? Like, what do you have to work with? Because I said for you, some of these people want 30,000 a month passive income, but for you, you want 5,000 a month. You might be able to achieve your goals of financial independence faster than they will because you've got some cash you could be using to generate less income because you don't need as much because you're not spending as much either. So I'm like, it's really not about, how much income you're making. It's about how much you're able to keep and then put to use and get it to produce for you.
That's a really good point. And I would also say too, being in the right rooms with the right kind of people, and in our
Mhm.
case, it's people who are on their journey towards financial freedom, is really inspiring, right? So
Mhm.
when you look at your life and what you want to achieve, right? You want to be around people who are already walking the walk, right? And talking the talk. And that's the kind of community that we cultivate. We have people in that room that have hit their financial freedom numbers. So
Mhm.
if you are somebody who wants financial freedom, you need to surround yourself with people who are already in the place that you want to be, right?
Mhm.
So it can be intimidating, especially as a new investor, to say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so far away from my goals. Look at all these people. They all started in your own shoes, right? Whether it
Mhm.
be, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. There's no better time to start than today."
Yeah. I'm always amazed by the people that keep coming back year after year after year. We have one couple that I think they've literally come about 10 times to our events, which is awesome, and they always get something new. And even though they can come from a lot of experience, I think for them it's also a teaching ability. That's one thing. It's like you hear people talk about, it's not just about trying to learn from other people, but it's also what you can teach the people that are, maybe further behind than you, but then also associating with people that are at your level too, your peers. It's like a three directional type of learning. And you learn so much faster. You master things so much faster when you have people to look up to, people to mentor, and then people that are your peers.
Yeah, well said. I will say too, with this year, I think we had our record highest attendance, which was great to
Mhm.
see. And I would assume that's going to continue to grow year after year. But it is really great to see people who have been coming consistently since we started. I know the first year, which was before my time, you were hosting at your home, right?
Mhm.
Which is no longer feasible given the amount of people we have. But it's great to see the kind of continued growth, and especially when it comes to managing your own personal finances and investments, there's no set it and forget it button, right? It's
Yeah.
just like watering a plant. You need to continue to focus on what your plan is, make adjustments to what the market's giving us, and really kind of being surrounded by other like minded people. Is the best way to do that, right? I mean, I know this year, we had some clients who were stressed, right, about
Mhm.
certain deals that they've done, And just kind of being able to have an open and safe place to be able to share some of those frustrations, talk about how are you dealing with this challenge in your life. Being able to share your experience, talk with other members of our community about what their opinion on their own challenges are. There was a great group share just about different solutions people had about a specific issue that one of our members was dealing with. It's great because we always want to celebrate the wins, right? That's what everyone
Mm.
likes to talk about and post on social media. But it's really the challenges, I would say, that are most important to talk about because oftentimes in our day-to-day life with our family and friends, it's something we can't discuss or don't feel comfortable discussing. And so it was really nice. I felt like at one point we had like a little therapy session, right, with the group. And the feedback was, I feel like I found my tribe, my people that I can really be myself with. And I love hearing stuff like that.
Oh, me too. I mean, and maybe some of the listeners here can kind of relate to this, but it's kind of tough, in some ways when the rest of the world is telling you you should just have that safe job, get your college education, have the safe job, put your money in the 401k, save it forever, live in retirement at some point in your 60s or 70s, and eke out the rest of your days. That kind of thing has always been taught. And one thing that was shared from our members, they said, yeah, it's kind of tough because you don't want to just tell people, hey, I'm in this, real estate deal or I'm in this oil investment and things like that. And then people say, oh, I did that once and it was horrible, right? It's like, well, yeah, because you did it by yourself and you were probably just gambling with your money versus doing something smart with it. And that's why you have a community. That's why you have mentors and people like that to help you along to ensure that you don't just, try to hit a home run, but actually hit a lot of base hits that allow you to actually score and get that freedom that you wanted. And so people are saying like, yeah, it's really hard, but now I found people like you guys. I can talk to you. I can talk to you about questions. And yeah, there might be some occasional person like one of our clients brought one of his friends who actually had just hired us last month and then came to that event. So they were coming together to support each other. And that makes me happy because I know that as those two elevate, they almost kind of become pace setters for each other. They almost kind of
Hmm.
help speed up the process. And that's what kind of the whole point of the topic of the show, this episode here is how do you speed it up? And that's a great way to do it is that you're not just running alone, you're running together, not just with a coach or a mentor, but you're even running with your peers, with other people that can kind of help elevate you as well and encourage you and even give you perspective because maybe you're like, maybe I'm in my head, maybe I'm going a little crazy here. And then someone to say, yeah, you are. Or maybe somebody just to tell you, no, actually, that's great. Like I see the same thing too. I think you're on the right track, and that means a lot. I mean, I could tell that there's a lot of people that 24 hours later, they're saying, wow, like I feel like I've made great friends, and I mean,
Hmm.
playing the game together does help too, because you get people to share and do stuff. But it was really exciting to see that connection gel between people because I can tell that it's creating friendships that are not just, oh, I know you. It's like, wait, this could be somebody who I can actually really run with, right? Somebody I can really run alongside with and maybe even help me, help change my life. If you've been following this podcast, you're probably looking for great ways to create passive income right now, right? Well, we got you covered here with Central Lending. Central Lending specializes in alternative investments that actually are designed to create steady returns and long-term financial security for you and your family. Now, they prioritize transparency. They love, building those strong relationships, giving you that confidence and peace of mind, knowing that you have your money working harder for you, so you don't have to work so hard for that money. You want to learn more how to do that? Go to centrallending.com and check out what they've got today to create your passive income and wealth creation right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, really, really well said and great summary. Having somebody you can trust, right? That you trust, our core values are very similarly aligned. And be able to get real-time honest feedback from, especially when it comes to, not only deals, right? I mean, this is a smart group
Mm.
of people. So, I know there's some people coming to the group with, one-off deals that, they've discovered on their own, and just kind of being able to have people to do deep dive due diligence with is super powerful. Whether you decide to go forward with that deal or not, having that honest feedback is really, something special about our group. And I would say too, it's really interesting when you do bring a friend, right? Because I would say most people came either by themselves or with a spouse, but we did
Mm.
have a couple people who brought a friend or who were friends before they joined or they joined around the same time. seeing them be able to connect their friendship on, a really deeper level to really talk about money, business, investing is really powerful. And I think that it can only, enhance other relationships. And I have a prediction. I think more people will probably bring a friend either with into the group next year or maybe as a prospect, right? Oh, hey, can I bring my buddy from college? I think he, would get a lot out of this weekend. And, we allow that, right, with our clients. If
Mm.
they have 2 tickets to the event, and if they want to bring somebody to prospect with us to have an outsider's perspective, we welcome that because that's what our mission is, right? It's called Money Ripples for a reason. We want to create that ripple effect,
Yeah.
and no better way to start that than through friends and family.
It's so true. I'm thinking back to like beginning of my journey. When I was a financial advisor, I just quit, and I remember my wife at that time. She said, "Hey, we're inviting the Andersons over to our house. I mean, you're going to teach them about these principles." And I started panicking. And I even and that group that I was following at the time, they're no longer in business, but the group I was following at the time had like their 13 principles of prosperity, right? And
Mm,
so I literally like I was nervous, kind of shaking a little bit, pulled out the card. I was like wondering, are they gonna think I'm crazy a little bit, because but I'm like, I'm learning cool stuff. Like I knew I was excited about it. And and I know I didn't describe half those principles the way they should have been. Like I was just guessing on some, right? But man, like the cool thing is that we were able to kind of run together a little bit more, like,
mm-hmm.
as it started with them, and then they started to listen in and start to learn things. And then we brought in a few other friends and whatnot. And so we soon had like this group. They were like couples, there's like 4 or 5 couples of us, married couples, like talking about these principles and how to make it work, and hey, how do we actually really get out of the rat race and that kind of thing. And so it gave me an opportunity to mentor, but also gave us an opportunity to kind of, to run together as well while I'm still learning from other people till I felt like I was starting to get more of a mastery of it myself. And no, it's so cool to see how that works out. It's cool to see how that's worked in our own community
Yep.
and seeing that gel. I mean, that was the thing I really excited about having like 30 people. And it's actually more like a mastermind. It's not like, I just got back from a mastermind, but it's really like a conference with over 300, 400 people, right? It's not, there's no masterminding happening. It's really just a conference. And then you might connect with some people individually. Like this is good. And I'll tell you another thing I've learned too, and this is important for anybody who's in business or maybe is trying to run a community of sorts. Like when I used to put on my events, these used to be 3-day events I would put on. Like it used to be like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I would crash that whole rest of the weekend. I would even get sick sometimes because yeah, I could bring in some guest speakers, but I was doing probably 2/3 of the speaking. And it was so exhausting. And I remember a big aha for me was several years ago when I started to have longer break times because they used to be like a military, like, okay, guys, you got 7 minutes. Be back here in 7 minutes. We're gonna shut the doors on you. We wouldn't lock them. We're not like freaking cult, but we were like, no, you got to be back in the room because we got a lot of content to cover. And I would just blast them with content, and then they would tell me this, like, yeah, Chris, I think I remember one thing. I'm like, wait, why did we teach you like 30 different things? You only can remember one. And then I started to change it up. I started doing like a 2-day event, and then I said, you know what? Let's have more time for them to have longer lunches and more time to share and talk to each other. And pretty soon, like, I mean, you saw this last event. I didn't do any teaching really. I mean, we talked a little bit when we actually did a little circle or mastermind circle that we did for a little bit, but for the most part, it was, I mean, there was people that were guest speakers that spoke almost more than I did,
Mm-hmm.
and the great thing is that people remember those things more. They remember it and they walk away with more things learned and they take action better, right?
Yeah, I would say, it's an intense 2 days. There's a lot of interaction, a lot of communication, but people felt energized, as
Yeah.
I did and as you did, right? So that's kind
Mm.
of the mark of a really powerful mastermind is when you leave, do you feel exhausted that you want to go to sleep or do you feel excited, energized? My internal fire was lit. I was super pumped for all of the takeaways and the value that our clients got. And I know, the two of us have a lot of exciting plans on, how to make improvements to our own program based on a lot of the feedback from our clients. So those are the types of things that I love and get me really excited. I also want to point out one thing too that is really powerful. And that is, we had a client bring his 18-year-old son to the group, which I think was maybe one of the and he was there for all 2 days.
Mhm.
Really, it was like a sponge, absorbing a lot of information. And I had a couple, side conversations with him, and I said, "What an opportunity for you to be exposed to these not only great clients, but really kind of this financial education, that we all wish we had when we were 18, and I said, if
Mhm.
you really, you know, continue to learn, talk to me, talk to your dad about what he learns, this kid could be financially free by 30, realistically,
Yeah.
which is pretty incredible. Time is obviously, the biggest thing we're fighting against. And to be able to start at his young age is really going to pay dividends for him, could really totally change the course of his life. And so I think, starting young, right? I think next year we'll probably have some clients bring some of their teenage kids, early 20s, just because it's so powerful to learn these concepts at a young age.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, how many times have we heard, "Man, I wish I knew this stuff 20, 30 years ago," right, from our
Right.
clients?
Hmm.
Because most of them are usually anywhere from their 30s to their 50s typically, right? But man, like it's true. It's so cool what kind of legacy you can start to create because it's not about, just passing on money to your next kids. It's like, how do you teach them the things that you've learned and you're starting to master yourself? How do you pass that wisdom along to them so that their lives could be even better than yours? I mean, isn't that what any loving parent wants, right? You want your kids to not be spoiled, but you rather want them to become wiser than you were.
Absolutely. Yep. Well said.
And I'll tell you the one thing I've seen from these events that I think really changed my perspective and why I stopped being such a big talking head there. My ego at first was a little bit offended. I'll be honest. Where people were walking away saying, "Man, I got so much," but not from you, Chris, but from talking to Joe over here or talking to Sarah or whatever it might be, right? And I remember one thing that impacted me the most that got me to make this switch was when a client, he had gone a couple years, had not done a single deal. He was so scared to like leave the mutual fund world there and go do like real estate investing. And we tried, and then finally he says, "You know what? I'm going to come to this mastermind." And it was a smaller mastermind. I just saw the memory on my Facebook, as before we recorded this today. It was from 4 years ago, and there was like maybe 14 people there, 15 people, and what was interesting is he would talk to the other members. And he even at the end of it, he said, "You know what? I think I'm ready to do this now." Because he had to talk to another member who said, "Yeah, I've had that same fear. I get that." Because for me, yeah, I had fear too, like going back into real estate. Because somebody even asked me that this time around. They said, "Well, I mean, you went broke. Like, did you have fear trying to get back into real estate?" I said, "Oh yeah, I had some like emotional meltdowns a little bit, before I did it. In fact, it was harder for me to buy my own house. Like I emotionally started breaking down because I thought this is the same price of home that I bought when I foreclosed on that last house back in 2009. Oh my gosh, what if I lose it again? All that kind of things. Like, yeah, I've had that. Like I had let more faith in a rental that I didn't manage myself than I did in buying my own home. Like we all have those fears and scarcity and challenges that we deal with. But for him, like for him to talk to those other people and say, "Yeah, I dealt with that too. And here's what I did." Like, maybe I just buy one. And so he did. He bought one property, and then he bought a second, and then a third and a fourth, and now he's got like seven of them. And yeah, and that's exciting to see that someone who was so scared to do it, taking action, and then his life is now shifting and changing as a result. That to me is why it's worth us, flying here and there or everywhere, or whatever it might be, or just trying to invest this time into people is because you get to see that change and that glow, that happiness and the joy that
Yep.
happens as a result.
And no better environment to share your wins than with other people, right? Like
Mhm.
I love, when our clients are talking about, this investment they made and somebody else made a similar investment and they both went from zero to $1,000 in cash flow, right? And it's that kind of
Yeah.
first, oh my gosh, this truly is passive. This can work. I've got control and the education in order to be the CEO of my financial life, right?
Mhm.
Having people to share in those wins is really powerful, and that's what really gets the ball moving.
Yeah, when people are asking like, hey, has anybody ever done this investment? I'm thinking about getting into it. And they're like, yeah, I've been in for the last 4 or 5 years. They've been great. Or,
Hmm.
watch out for this, if you're going to do that one, especially some of those outside of our network. I mean, we definitely had a good section of time where people are like saying, yeah, before I joined Money Ripples, I did this investment. Ugh.
Yeah.
you know, Granted, it's the
Yep.
worst 2 years of real estate investing for certain asset class within real estate that we've ever seen in our lifetimes, right? And just with the higher interest rates, everything has put a lot of stress on the apartments and multifamily and commercial, even with 2020 and self storage, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we saw a lot of things hit the fan all at once, and still we see people coming out the other side surviving. They got money work for them and doing stuff, and it's really really encouraging to see that happen. So, well, Craig, I appreciate your time today. This has been awesome. I know we could talk about this forever, and it feels like we kind of did, in some ways. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you being on. But everybody, of course, if you're looking for something like this, I mean, it doesn't have to be our community. If you found something that works for you, then do that. I'll tell you though, the one thing that I love about our community is that they all said, "I feel like I found someone just like me," right?
Yep.
And these people were generally like good-hearted, salt of the earth people. There weren't like big egos that we had there. I mean, we had people that definitely loved to share and teach, but they weren't. They were like good-hearted, salt of the earth, like real, authentic people. And that's the kind of people we like to attract. If you're like a faker or a poser or whatever, like you're not going to enjoy our people, right? You're gonna say, I'm better than everybody else. Like, good, you can get out. We don't want you in. But man, we got such amazing people, like people that's why they want to hang around with each other, right? Because they're such good people, and they're like, yeah, I feel like I know you because you're like me. You're somebody who actually wants to do good in the world. You're not just wanting to get rich. You want to live that rich life and help others along the way. And so, guys, definitely invite you. If you're that kind of person, feel free to reach out to us, moneyripples.com. But ultimately, guys, if you want to go faster, don't do it alone. Do it together, and do it with people that actually are doing the thing that you want to do as well, as Craig had so wisely stated earlier. So make sure you do that, guys. Go and make it a wonderful, prosperous week. See you later.